Jessica first.
A very good morning and a warm welcome to this week's edition of The Dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. I'm really pleased to have you today as we look back at the major events of the week. As usual in the studios, the panelists are ready to take you through those major events, and we also have that time when we get that feedback. In the show this morning, Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, communication expert, is here with us. We've been joined by Charles Kazoba, a journalist, actually a veteran journalist and a researcher, working with Karibu East Africa. But also we have Comrade Daniel Rugarama, a scholar, a lawyer, but also a staunch Pan-Africanist. We'll be looking at the new developments in the political landscape, but also we'll be interrogating the political dynamics as we head into the 2026 elections. Welcome to the show. Richard Baguma, it's always my pleasure to have you on the show. This week I was handing over office. I have served as the leader of parliamentary press for 6 years, and I decided it's time to bow out, and it was a momentous event at Parliament yesterday as we witnessed a peaceful transition. And I remember when I posted something about it, you said I need to go for lessons on how revolutionaries work. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Apollo. The viewers, but they know that I start with God.
Sure.
I start with thanking God, with recognizing God's all power, but also all grace.
Amen.
Yes, I thank the viewers. Thank you for patronizing us and staying with us. I am happy to have Kazoba, who is looking very princely. And of course, Comrade Rugarama. It's nice to be here. I can quote what I told you. I said, Kongs.
Congratulations.
And I put an exclamation mark. I said, however, you may require orientation in revolutionary ways. Yeah, so please stop here threatening us that you worked for 6 years and you are tired. What do you mean? After 6 years, you are tired. So what is going to happen?
Revolutionaries don't.
No, we probably may have to make you.
Do not retire.
No, we may have to make you think about other concepts. Yeah, you. For us, the retiring that we do is the one where you put new tires.
Oh.
So you retire, you put new tires. So, but you don't just go and go walking away.
Really?
No. So that was one interesting part of my week. The other part of my week was we were in Mombasa for a Sustainable Development Goals, Regional Sustainable Development Goals Conference. It's an annual conference that we do. We try to measure as a region where have we reached towards the Sustainable Development Goals, but also now we are picking up focus on what we call the Pact of the Future, the agreement on how we will manage our future. And it is always very interesting to see a collection of the private sector, government, civil society, all of us trying to talk about our existence.
There are 17 goals. Do you have specific goals that you target, or you look holistically at the 17 SDGs?
You see, the goals are not really measured in goals. They are measured in targets. So the 17 goals actually have 169 targets. So we look at the targets that are most relevant to a society, because you see, there is one of the goals, for example, which is life underwater. While that could be very crucial for the countries, we had Ethiopia, we had Kenya, we had Tanzania. They are along the seashore. They have different aspects. The corals are threatened. Now, when you see for us life underwater, we will have Lake Victoria and River Nile. So it's each country has to kind of look at the targets. But there are those ones which don't go away.
Oh.
If you talk, for example, about hunger,
Yeah.
food security,
Poverty.
and nutrition. Yeah. So poverty also gets broken down. It may be general, but you might be looking at household income, or you might be looking at gender parity. Yeah, or geographical parity. For example, if you have an average income of a country, which they call GDP, which is high, but you have 4 pockets within the country or regions, yes. Because, for example, I know I'm taking long on this, and you want us to go talk politics, but you see, what politics do you have when you don't have development? That's why you see Turkana and Karamoja and what we never have development there, because we are always in conflict and the climate. So these are the things we talk about, and how do we cross border management of these issues so that we can benefit together.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Sorry, I took a minute on that, because I know we are running to talk politics, and what. And
it's important. I had to quickly introduce Charles, a veteran journalist, though you said we revolutionaries don't actually walk away easily.
He hasn't walked away, he's a revolutionary.
Oh, Charles, I'm happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Mr. Apollo. I'm representing Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies.
Wow.
Mr.
Did you drop Karibu East Africa?
Museveni frustrated it and I left it.
Really?
So I'm focusing on something he can't frustrate.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Won't he frustrate that one too?
No.
Okay. What do you do?
We now do research mainly on issues, for instance, issues that cause conflicts. You've been seeing me so much involved in Banyarwanda issues.
Yeah.
In Africa, the main causes of conflicts now are sectarianism, religion, and ethnicity. So that's why I got involved in the Banyarwanda issue as one aspect that we can handle as an organization. Mr. Baguma here said that I'm a prince, and I wanted to clarify.
That you sit and act princely.
The black race in Africa had a god called the sun god.
Okay.
The name
Kazo
means the sun god.
So he's not a prince, he's a god now. He has improved.
So I'm a representative of the black race in Africa. But precisely as a Muchwezi, I'm at a higher level now. I'm not like the Musevenis. The Musevenis are supposed to be guarding our palace. They are Muchwezi, but they stop at the palace guarding. So for us, we are the ones that are inside the palace, yes.
Big people you are.
That's why they get frustrated.
You said your organization is objectives are to manage and avoid conflicts, but you seem to create more and more conflicts.
No, we want to study the causes of conflicts first of all, but also offer solutions.
All right.
Like the Banyarwanda issue, we've consistently told the government that they have to handle this issue regarding the citizenship. If you look at DRC, that the M23 and those other groups emanate from the issue of citizenship. When you deny somebody citizenship, it becomes a problem. And later on a serious conflict. So it may not, our Banyarwanda may not start a conflict today, and I'm 7, but you never know 20 years from today what will happen. Therefore, we must find solutions as early as possible. regarding their citizenship.
Okay. You talk about the Ugandan Banyarwanda.
Yes, Uganda and Banyarwanda.
And their issues of not being allowed, easy access to national IDs and what, and all that.
You just forget the national IDs. That is a very small matter, actually. Land.
Oh.
They have limited access to land in Honorable Kabanda's constituency. There is a village where Banyarwanda use one SIM card because they cannot even register for SIM cards.
Okay. It's a whole big issue there. Let's hope it is resolved.
He will not be. Hopefully, he will not be frustrated really again.
Okay. Baguma says he hopes you won't be frustrated again.
Actually,
Comrade Lugarama is a Pan-Africanist, and Kazoba talked about he's also a sun. He's a sun god of Africa, something like that. Speak to our viewers, the chairman of the Pan-Africanist movement.
Good morning to you, comrades, and good morning, Apollo. Good morning, my brother, Comrade Kazova, and Comrade Baguma. It's a pleasure once again coming here. This is home, indeed, and I thank the management of this wonderful station. Maybe just a few comments about what the observation that Comrade Baguma has just made. You see, politics is everywhere, and in discussing, for instance, water management and climate, we are essentially discussing politics. So I thank Baguma for his relentless efforts in going into a number of things. He's into people who take too much alcohol, and it's a disease. And indeed it is, because I have seen what it has done to even relatives. So his efforts really, don't you think at any one given time that they go unnoticed? We are glad. Of course, I know that you run into trouble with drunkards. They are there and they don't like interfering with them.
It's their business.
Yes, and coming back to the issue of water management and what have you, when you look at, we even suspect, for instance, that the troubles Ethiopia is experiencing now could be emanating from the management of the River Nile and the construction of the Grand Renaissance Dam. And the agitation of Egypt thinking that it has got more rights than others on the waters of the Nile, especially dating back the colonial times. Climate, we cannot overemphasize it. The Kyoto Protocol, the Paris Treaty, and of course the increasing pollution of the ozone layer by the major industrialized global powers. So it's a whole range of environmental and whatever nature of other things we're talking about. Politics again. And coming back to Kazova's comments, I commend him. I'm not sure about the Museveni being a Lesa Muchwezi or even being a Muchwezi or what have you, but for representing the black community, I think that is very critical. That every time we have got constantly remind ourselves that we as black people are an important race, and what Pan-Africanism is all about, to self-consciousness. The realization that the black race, wherever we are, doesn't matter the geographical boundaries, is very important, and in collaboration with others, or even alone, because for us we can stand alone. But in collaborating with other races, whether brown or white or whatever they want to call themselves, we can make this world a better place.
Wow.
Finally, this week, of course, has witnessed so many things. I believe some is what we are going to talk about. The emergence of yet another pressure group like PROU. PROU, those who are making a lot of noise, have now since kept quiet. I think maybe because of the vision bearer having abandoned the ship.
Are you sure we've kept quiet?
At least the amount of energy you had, and I see less of the tweets talking about peer review and that kind of stuff, and these NRM people who are weekend NRM, then during the weekdays peer review, you know, that confusion. And I have had a lot to say about that. I don't think I will go into it right now. But I have also been consistently following the events in Syria. I have looked at what is happening, especially in Ukraine, and of course the coming in of Trump. So generally, coming back to Uganda, the creation of DA, and of course the energies that are being put in the prosecution, so others have called it persecution, of Karua, Martha, the senior counsel, and her being denied the temporary practicing license, which I consider very shocking, especially under the spirit of
Comrade, and those the issues we are going to discuss.
I'm saying, I guess we are going to discuss them well and good, but I'm just pointing them out as what captured my week, and probably finally I'm also wondering as to whether the world is oblivious of what the Zionist regime is continuously doing in the Middle East. But I hope probably that with time, because you can suppress something for some time, but you can never suppress it for forever.
Thank you so much. Comrade Daniel Lugarama is a Pan-Africanist, but he's also a lawyer. I don't know what that piece of cloth he is wrapping around his neck signifies, but I don't know that he subscribes to the radical bar of Isaac Semakad.
Isaac Semakad is not only a classmate, but he's also my president on the Law Society.
Well, thank you so much, our viewers. Now we kick off the big discussion. My name is Principal. Once again, you can be part of the debate. Let's look at the political dynamics evolving in Uganda's political landscape. Comrade Lugarama talked about the launch of the Democratic Alliance. Right Honorable Mpuuga announced and launched a new political formation, and political pundits have come out to also bring their opinions on its impact, but also how it will reshape or shape the politics of Uganda. Quickly, let me first hear from Comrade Lugarama, because it's you who looks to be really enthusiastic about this issue. You even threw a barb at Kazoba for being a supporter of PRU, that this formation is possibly may be of no impact. Let me get your opinion. What do you think? Some are saying this new formation may help rejuvenate the momentum in the opposition as we head into 2026, but others are saying it may also deepen the divisions within the opposition, giving the NRM an edge. I don't know where you can start, but make your submission. Is Mpuuga's Democratic Alliance going to reshape the political future of this country, or it will come and go as other political alliances we've seen before?
The Democratic Alliance that I have seen, Comrade Matthias Mpuuga.
I'm sorry to interrupt you just for 1 minute. We commiserate with the family of Honorable Semujunganda, a comrade in profession, people may not know that actually Mpuuga Uganda is a veteran journalist. He actually served in the office I've been serving in Parliament. He was the president of UPPA, Parliamentary Press. He lost his father, Alhaji Ali Nganda Nkwanga, and he will be buried today in Chazanga, Rengo district. We condole with the family and the Honorable Mpuuga Uganda. May his soul rest. Please proceed.
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that my MP, you know, Chira municipality is my place, and so by geographical placement, Ibrahim Mpuuga Uganda is my MP.
Please.
Although I don't vote from there, but I benefit from his political leadership. And I'm sorry to hear that he has lost a dad. May the soul of the departed father rest in eternal peace.
Let's go straight to
the creation of a pressure group called Democratic Alliance, where I saw Matthias Mpuuga and my other brother, comrade
Mike Omabike,
and a few others have come up forcefully to present a political roadmap of their own in an effort, as they say, to liberate the country from the political capture. Is yet another front. Because I was listening to Ingrid Turunawe, and she was saying that you see the political parties, the creation of different political parties is like being in a restaurant and you present a menu whereby the population will choose whether to eat katogo, whether to eat chapati or an omelette or something like that. That may look like a very simple example, but at the end of the day, where we have come from politically, and especially with the creation of political parties, especially after the NRA had agreed that we go back to multipartism, is something that we should seriously reflect upon. Are we having these so many political parties and other political formations, by whatever name you want to call them, for the good of deepening democracy, dispensing it to the people such that they can have a variety from where to choose from, or we are having them for purposes of serving, like again Comrade Mugisha Muntu observed, self-interests. I am afraid that save for a few people whom I may not be at liberty to point out here in different political formations, who really mean well for this country, there is an increasing trend of pressure groups, political parties, you can imagine, being formed for purposes of self-aggrandizement. And it's very unfortunate because contrary to, and of course in answering your question, contrary to the expectation of the Wananchi who want to be served, we have seen pressure groups being created only to be swallowed the following day. Individuals come out, form pressure groups, form political parties, only to be bought or accused of being bought by other political parties. So at the end of the day, although we have seen on the African continent that some political parties can be created and they mean well for a country, like in the case of Zambia, the current president persistently remained a political force. He faced jail, he came out, he is now the president of the country. Diversity of political parties in South Africa forced the apartheid political party, African National Congress, into a coalition, and they have formed a government. The ZANU-PF is still a standalone, although we know that that they have been facing a very serious resistance from the opposition. And when you go to Tanzania until recently, of course, Kenya is an obvious example. Of course, they seem not to be having permanent and historical revolutionary political parties that have consistently held power. They keep mutating. But at the end of the day, the case of Uganda, I get worried that some of these brothers and sisters of mine, I mean, because I don't want to make sweeping statements, that those who engage in political activism are there for money or other reasons. They are those who really feel. And if you permit me, I believe it's my thinking, really, and I cannot be mattered for that. That a person like Comrade Mugisha Muntu, for instance, given opportunity in this country, his brand of politics seems not to be understood by a majority of our people. Probably with time, they will appreciate the way he runs, because he's one man who believes in civic activism to enlighten the masses, to know their rights and obligations, to make informed decisions. Now, you don't seem to hear so many political actors say that or even act it. Meaning, therefore, that the expectations are either for selfish interests or they are targeted for short-term goals. Now, we need, like NRM had come, and the entrenchment, knowledge entrenchment to the people, when you look at the 10-point program, because you see, the creation of the the political parties, is it that what, for instance, NRM formed in the 10-point program, later on 15-point program, are they digressing? Do they think that they have got better views than what is contained in the 15-point programs, or NRM does not do what it purported or set out to do in their own 15-point program? That's where the difference is. And in my opinion, I think a good number of them, and NRM is very lucky. I think we are very lucky people in the sense that we are still surviving, and we seem to be growing even when we are not doing a very good job. We are surely not doing a very good job. We are doing a good job, yes, but we could do better. If we meant to do better as it is supposed to be, we could do better. But we seem to be heaping everything to the president. At the end of the day, I think we are really bagging down the old man. So to me, therefore, in a way of concluding on this, whether it is this new baby by
Mpuuga,
Matthias Mpuuga, whether it is the Chiza Message's new party front for
People's Front for Freedom,
whether it is the anti for General Mugisha Muntu, or any other. This is PRU, I don't know the status now, because the owner just abandoned the whole thing. At the end of the day, I think, and those who were following, since Kazoba is here and he says he supports the PRU, he will tell us. I don't think at the end of the day, a good number of the followers, the Kazoba could be different. Maybe he has his very good reasons. Are really following they are in these parties for purposes of providing a better political landscape for this country. But I'm worried.
You're worried, but is it a case with only these new formations, or even NRM, which has been in power for all these years?
Even in NRM, by
supporters just supporting for the sake and not even interested in the runnings of the and the future of the political formation.
You know me to be on record in as far as telling the audience that where we have got problems in NRM, I've always said it, and I will not shy away from telling you that we still have a problem. Even us in NRM, by the way, a good number, either as a consequence of lack of whether deliberate or not, I don't know, that the Wananchi, the members of NRM, do not fully appreciate what NRM stands for, or they do, and they have realized that this is for simply supporting, eat what you can eat in the meantime. After all, you are not here for forever.
That sounds very dangerous.
Terrible.
Kazoba Charles, you are now going to speak perhaps on behalf of these new formations, because you support PLU, which Comrade Rugarama has said it's now an orphan and has lost direction. Anyway, what do you make of these new formations and alliances as we head into the final year before 2026 elections?
Actually, we shall be launching a new one, I think, in January or February next year. In principle, people are allowed to associate.
It's their right. It's their
Yes.
right.
So, politically, they must have space to come together, form an opinion, and if it is to contest for power, it is okay. So I really have no problem with an individual or group of individuals coming together to position themselves for either power or offer alternative opinions. I really have no problem with that, fundamentally. Now, for the particular case of the Honorable Mpuuga and the group, they are rebranding themselves, which is very necessary. They don't have space where they have been.
They lacked a home.
Yes, after falling out with Bobby Wine,
NUP.
And these are still young people who are competing for power. They want power. They want political offices. Uganda, the way it is, when you come as an independent, the political terrain is not very favorable unless you have
A vehicle.
adequate resources. But when you have a home and you're good at political marketing, there is a possibility that you can secure political office. So they are on the right track to re-establish themselves, get a new home. Of course, they could not have gone back to DP. They have been told not to go back. They couldn't. Mabika has a small party called the
Social
SDP,
Democratic Party.
but they are a big group and they seem to come from various small parties. So if they have decided
Even Dr. Ben Bwanika,
yes,
one of them has also a party. Is it PDP? People's Democratic Party.
So if they have decided to come together to do political marketing as a group for 2026, I don't see an issue on that. Of course, they have been called opportunists. I've seen Dr. Matembe and Honorable Latigo attack Mpuuga directly. And I think, in my opinion, that is not good, because politics is for everybody.
No, actually, the one for Dr. Bedwanika is People's Development Party, not People's Development Party.
Yes. I think even Mokaku belongs to some other party. Now, the political platforms are growing, courtesy of the NRM chairman, by the way. We are aware that he's behind the creation of so many of these small political platforms. Either they favor him or that's how he operates. But that one is a fact that he sponsors some of these.
That's an allegation.
Absolutely.
Maybe next time I could come and prove. Because you see, where we've reached now, Apollo, we must be truthful to ourselves. If we keep suppressing some of this information, then we are not doing good to this country.
What is the correct information?
Let us start with the NUP.
What about it?
Who created the NUP?
The owners, they are there. The Electoral Commission has got those who promoted the political party. It has
Bobby
got
Wine and his team.
Yes.
Let me tell you, Apollo, in NSN democracy, would Bobby Wine still moving on the street as a leader of NUP the way he acquired it fraudulently?
Courts have not pronounced themselves on
Well,
that.
they cannot.
Why?
That we even have an electoral commission that has 2 constitutions and they still play around. Eh? If we do not become honest as a country, we shall plunge this country into chaos. There is no way you can convince me that you have a group of individuals masquerading as leaders of a political organization that was acquired fraudulently and nothing is done against it.
What point are you driving at? I mean,
The state, and particularly his chairman, are behind some of these machinations. So some of the chaos you see in these political organizations are courtesy of the NRM chairman.
Does those...
Because he prefers to operate in that confusion.
Oh.
People end up fighting each other for small opportunities, for small monies, and fail to focus on realignment of the governance of this country. We are in big trouble as a country. Politically, if we do not tackle the question of governance, we have a problem. You walk on the street, you hear what people are talking about. There is a lot of tension within the population. We suspect each other.
So you believe that even these new formations, including the PLU you subscribe to, the Democratic Alliance, we are discussing today, wait a minute, are all appendices of some dominant group?
When I was in MK movement, I happened to have participated in the thinking even of generating the documentation. So I happened to be part of the core team. We had very good intentions. We had an agenda that wanted to move this country forward. Then his chairman infiltrated our group. Of course, we were at.
Were you surprised that the chairman infiltrated your group?
And that is the problem. That is the problem. Because President Museveni is not going to be here in the next 20 years. Now we, as a new generation, if we cannot be allowed to have space to do the thinking for a way forward, then there is trouble.
Oh.
So if that selfishness does not go away, this country will be put in trouble.
Okay.
Yes.
So you also believe that DA, the Democratic Alliance, should also be given space as to
let them
freely.
be given space. Mpuuga as an individual has had issues. Particularly the issue of the 500 million. It is a rotten egg on his face, and it's not going away. In my view, Mpuuga should have remained in the shadow of the organization, and then put new faces as the face of the organization, so that he could operate from the background. After all, what he wants is to come back to parliament. I don't think that he wants to be president, because the young people see him as a corrupt fella. And that might not be true, because he acquired that money through the right procedures in parliament. But the perception is different within the population. So maybe at some point he should carefully think about this and then go to the background of his organization, operate in the shadow, have new faces, take charge of the organization forward. Yes.
Thank you so much. You raise several issues. You talk about the limitations that may hold the DA, Democratic Alliance, behind. One, the image and the people who actually promoting the alliance. They then talk about a possibility of infiltration, and it gets weakened, and several other issues. Richard Baguma, speak about these new alliances and what they mean as we cross over, as we move on to 2026.
Okay. Sometimes I'm struggling to find what to say about some of these things. But I must first congratulate my school, Tari School. Tari School lifted the crown again for the national debate and speech championships. So when you find my young old boys in leadership positions later, it is because they know how to convince and talk and win over.
We should not complain.
I don't think it is just starting from, so I wanted to congratulate my school. The new alliance, I'm not sure that there's a new alliance. Because I was looking at the people and I was thinking, okay, so what is particularly new? What is particularly new? That's what part of the question.
Even the name DA, Democratic Alliance, is new.
No, it was you just remove the T. It's just remove the T. Not, in my view, not even very ingenious.
It goes back to the Democratic Alliance of 2016 by Amama Mbabazi, Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus.
You see, when you the Kazova said certain things, and I was looking at him and saying, Kazova is turbocharged this morning. Some of the things he's saying are, you need to be relatively bold. Because you see what happens in this town is that you have an individual who controls everything around. And he has controlled the narrative for 4 decades. And so, because we worry, a lot of us are growing old. We have been under this and we get nothing. We start thinking, okay, we are going to bow out with nothing. So every time I keep talking, we have to do a lot of self-censorship. We have to say things that we hope that will not annoy those, because for him, he probably is not even paying attention. But those around him, some people call it the cabal, some people call it the junta, others call it whatever name. This is names for me, but I call it the kitchen group. And so, not only not to annoy them, but also to please them, so that maybe in the kitchen something can come to you. And Kazova says one thing, that however much you try, it eventually overflows. It will eventually overflow. However much you try to keep it to keep your kitchen and keep all the others out. As long as you have food only in that kitchen, the aroma there cannot be hidden. My brother Charles Romshana is the one who says you eat and you fat. The others outside will hear. You can't hide it. The smell goes to them. They will come, and something will give. And I think if I had Charles Kazoba correctly, if I have not misheard him, I think that is what he's saying. And you see, the TDA for me is within that context. That you have somebody who has taken the space. It's not just political space. It is political space. It is economic space, occupied and strangled, that you really can't access any meaningful resources in this town unless you are around or an agent of the kitchen group. And so you have to try, because you are there, all of you who desire to have access to some space. Now, I was telling people that, you see, you need to observe when you have a shortage of matatu, of taxis. I don't know if you have been to a stage when there is a shortage of matatus. Watch how they elbow each other, they push each other, the clothes get torn as they enter in order to turn. This is, that for me is what comes to my mind as the image. So that is what the Mpuugas are doing. Yes, you have nowhere to go. You are squeezed. This one is in prison. The other one is told they cannot move. This one has to be, what can you do? You come into cabinet, or at least you allow your wife to go into cabinet, because you have no space. So you try to recreate a space. That's what, for me, the DA is all about. It is a manifestation of the, when somebody is denying you air, of the suffocation of the operational space in this country. Political, economic. And now, by the way, going into social. Going into social, religion, you find that now to invite certain people to a religious oriented, especially if you are a relative and upcoming, you have to go to a certain bishop, a certain non-traditional, sex-wise they are the non-traditional bishop. Well, that is the one who will most probably invite for you certain people who give clout to your function. So even the social spaces including entertainment, including tourism, including. And so, Apollo, this suffocation, Kazova said, because we are so suffocated, we even fear to talk about it. It will overflow.
Thank you so much, Richard. You will expound much more on that, but you will say there is suffocation of political space and economic space, and people will always will always find means to survive. We need to go for a break, but when we return, we expound more on the political landscape in Uganda, especially looking at the new formations and their chances of creating impact on the political future of this country. In the first hour, we looked at the future of the political formations that are being launched, specifically the Democratic Alliance that was launched 2 weeks ago and led by the former leader of opposition, Honorable Mpuuga, but of course working alongside other prominent politicians, Honorable Bedi Bwanika, Honorable Michael Mabike, and several others. And they made it clear that they are looking at reforming and reshaping the political landscape in this country, focusing on transition, on how Uganda can transit from the leadership of NRM possibly to another formation. And they also promised that they will flaunt leaders in the 2026 elections at all levels, including the presidency. So we sit down to interrogate the fortunes of these new alliances. Kazoba said there is another new vehicle that is soon to be launched, and many more may come, but what could be the impact of these new formations relating to the current political environment? Well, of course, Richard Baguma says that the suffocation of the political space will in any way trigger such a new formations and such a new issues coming up, but also we now continue to look at the other issues that rotate around these new formations. Like I said in the beginning, some people say that these new formations like Democratic Alliance will deepen the divisions in the opposition, making it much and much more weaker. But also others say it may help embolden the other formations in opposition, bring them together, and possibly put on a serious contest in 2026. What do you think? Send in your comments. I'll ask my producers. They've already done that. That is the number. Send by WhatsApp. Send a message by SMS. Tell us what you think about this new formation. Richard, I give you some few minutes. Conclude on your issue of suffocation and strangulations triggering these new formations. But specifically tell us, do you think as they aspire to also participate, do you think there is a chance? Do they have a chance?
No. There are two things for me. One is that the current strangulation and suffocation is very strong. And so it is very hard to see a chance for 2026. That's one. Two, that it's hard, apart from biology, to see how the strangulation will not be eased with some either forceful means or a threat of force. Yeah, that there has to be a credible threat of force or actual forceful means, like when you're being strangled and then you have to push back whatever is strangling you. And I don't see that one happening in the current context. No, the current play of things. So having a chance, I don't know, but there is the chance they have, because see, this country's governance is not only at the presidential level. I know there is presidentialism. There is overwhelming presidentialism in this country. That for border guys in Queen to get money, then it's the president who gives it to them. That a group of young people in Mpuuga, then the president has to carry a sack of money to them. So they're so overwhelming, and this is the strangling I'm talking about. So the institutional mechanisms will not work, even when they exist on paper and have budgets. And so the groups that may seem not to fit within this structure may not come up, or will have a lot of pain trying to do so. And so, yeah, to directly answer the question, there is no chance. But at the sub-national level, because also there is the big cake, the real cake, but there is also the pancakes. You see, you have cake, but the cake, they are also what they call pancakes. They also pretend to be cakes. So there are those ones, there are those pancakes which may be available at the sub-national level. So people may be able to influence
and win some political
and get
offices.
some pancakes. Yeah. So realistically, if they are gunning for that, then that's you see, for me, the question, for example, of the 500 the 500 million, the people in this country, if they really were to vote basing on the issue of corruption,
of integrity,
corruption, stealing, the stealing of money, the looting actually. If they were to vote basing on the looting, then the votes would be coming out amazingly differently, in my view.
So the issue of the image on Mpuuga may not affect his
No, it will.
his political fortunes.
It will. Not because of the money. It is because of the way it is being framed.
Okay.
It is because those ones, the looters, are framing a pickpocket.
Oh.
Yeah, to replace them, to look worse than them. Yeah.
What about the narrative that these new formations like the Democratic Alliance will exacerbate the divisions in the opposition? Because
the
now
divisions in the opposition are not because of formations, Apollo. You are diverting me. The divisions in the formations, Kazoba explained to you, is because of the strangler. So let's not keep going away from the real issue.
Kazoba, can you expound on that? Others think that now we have had the NUP, which actually put up a serious contest in 2021 with a reasonable margin in the results, presidential results. Here you are creating another force that like Democratic Alliance, which will face off with the NUP, for instance, in the central and eastern region where they hold a lot of support. Now it is actually dividing the existing opposition the more.
Before the conflict, the public conflict between Honorable Mpuuga and Bobi Wine, there was a rumor that the Kamocha guys had been told to kick out all these people who came from DP. Of course, we couldn't confirm it, but then later we started observing one by one. You'd see them being pushed out. So the question then was, who was ordering the Kamocha gang to kick out?
Can't they make their own decisions, for God's sake? They are leaders.
First of all, Apollo, you're forgetting very fast. I've told you there's somebody holding this Kamocha group together.
Another serious allegation you are making.
If we go by the law, they cannot be in charge of that party. If we go by the law, they can't be in charge of that party.
So, in your opinion,
you ask yourself,
NUP is illegitimately
who is telling electoral commission?
A party in opposition.
Who is telling the electoral commission, leave that group to be in charge? Despite the fact that they had even smuggled a new constitution
to the electoral commission.
To the electoral commission, they would have been thrown out. So there is somebody who is saying, please, these boys should remain in charge. Now, Democratic Alliance, of course, these guys have their experience in terms of mobilization. Some of them started with the Kawanga Semogere.
Dr. Paul.
Yes. So they have been around for some time. They understand the political terrain. They're actually a bigger headache to the president than the Kamocha group.
Sure.
This group, you see, the Democratic Alliance, some of them actually participated in mobilizing for Babas.
Yeah, true.
There were some of the planners. So they have been around, and they can cause chaos, although to a limited scale, very limited scale. But still, whatever it is, it can damage NRM. So when it comes to dividing votes, it will be in Uganda, might be. Well, if they front candidates, they can maybe secure 10 or 15, but still they'll have undermined NUP.
10, 15 MPs?
Yes, it is possible.
Seats in parliament?
Yes, they can get that number. So they will have undermined NUP, not NRM. In fact, from what I'm observing, NRM might actually recover some of the seats in Uganda.
In 2021.
Yes, some of the seats it might recover them because the population has been complaining. The NUP people haven't delivered at all. So the damage, NUP is going to face off against NRM and this
DA.
and DA. But whatever it is, it does not change much because I have always told the people that the actual position in this country, it is not those groups. The actual opposition are these young people, the generation of 15 to 25.
You had started off with PRO. Is that, can you, I mean, initially, did you regard it as an opposition?
Yes, we of course, PRU, from how we were positioning it, we wanted to compete with power. We wanted to compete with NRM for power. So automatically that would have made us opposition. In fact, some of us, our thinking was that we front candidates in 2026. Unfortunately, General, I think, was advised by the president.
He abandoned you.
He did, indeed.
Yeah.
He did.
Was he with them in the first place?
Anyway.
He abandoned us. Maybe he thought we were radicals. But he had a very good opportunity of getting into power, not 2026, but probably 2031. If he had gone by our calculation, and you've also consistently seen Kawanda, reason like the way I'm reasoning. By our calculation, General would have gotten into power very smartly.
So you also agree with Richard that they will not create any impact, these new formations that are coming?
The impact is there. You see, if you've been observing Besigye has never won an election, isn't it? He
has never won?
He has never. He has never gone to State House.
True.
But you look at how the political terrain has changed from 2000 to date. Partly, it is Besigye's contribution. He has challenged the status quo. Other actors have come up. So, somebody might not win in an election. You might not see evidence of a direct contribution. But if you're a keen observer, this DA, the Democratic Alliance, and others, when they go out and communicate, it changes people's mindsets. The young people are listening, and they understand much better than it was in the past years. So there is an awareness campaign that is ongoing.
Political consciousness.
DA might not actually take power from 7. But the political consciousness that is being driven within the population, that will trigger something in the future. I'm telling you the truth. Nobody knew that things would turn out the way they did in Sudan.
Kazowa believes in the principle of the geography principle. It is called withering, principle of withering. That a rock, this is in rocks,
will keep disintegrating.
Constantly, when it is the rock is exposed to certain weather, it will keep wearing out, and finally, either it will reduce in size or it will significantly go away. I believe in that, but I doubt that it is so much happening especially with their opposition political parties politics here in Uganda. It is not, although it may ultimately achieve that, but the composition and the way the opposition is carrying out its politics, it may take much longer for us to achieve the desired results. Why? Because there is a very bad element in our opposition politics of self-aggrandizement, wanting to achieve. You see, I create a pressure group simply because I have disagreed with the pressure group in which I was, or a political party, and they have not given me the position of, say, for instance, of a secretary general
or a commission of parliament,
something like that. Therefore, I have to go and create. Now that not being so sincere, not having the national, Mujishamuntu calls it the interest of the country above self-interest, is what is driving our opposition politics. Unfortunately, we have those elements even in NRM. Unfortunately.
Okay. Kazoba, if I understood him well, he's saying the NRM is weakening.
Yes, that is very true.
And people are getting more politically conscious, which may possibly result into NRM falling. That's what. But you say, wait a minute. You say from your submission that it's not true. The opposition is also weakening. Is it so?
But actually, if you want to know that actually the opposition, when you look at the voting patterns, and I think was it Brother Baguma who was trying to paint it out. When you look at the patterns, countrywide patterns, voting patterns, the opposition versus the NRM, and you look at the numbers, you get a different picture altogether. We actually don't have a growing opposition.
Okay.
And interestingly, we don't have the growing opposition, at least by county representation. We had the concentration here, and the political analysts and the strategists within NRM have already mapped out something, how to recapture. Himself, Kazoba, has admitted, and I agree with him, that actually we are going to see NRM. I can even point, I'm not a prophet, a Jewish prophet, but I can point you out here that, for instance, in the areas of Bamunanika, this Honorable Minister
Chrysostom
is going to recapture that seat. And many others, I can point them out. We know the anger that was sweeping through around
and
that time.
Are you sure that anger won't
is
be
dying and has significantly died down? And I can assure you, so many people are even regretting.
All right, viewers, we are in the dialogue, but you can also participate, send in your comments via SMS on 0702 0701 609906, and you can also send comments on WhatsApp, the same line. It will be running on the screen. Let me read some of the comments that have come in as we continue to interrogate the impact of the new formations that are coming up. Who strangles who? I believe, given a chance also, they would do the same. Political maturity is the major challenge to all the contenders. I think that goes to Richard. You implied that there is a dominant group that is strangling
even
others.
Kazoba has talked about this
and they're asking, who is strangling who? Because even when they had a chance, the ones you are saying they are being strangled, they would do the same. Okay, I can see from the status.
So that one is saying
Nkunze.
This one group
on the status
Nkunze. Nkunze saying,
thank you.
Since this one is struggling the other one, if this one had the chance, they would strangle. So the struggling is not happening. I just like it.
Okay, thank you so much, Richard. And let me read another comment here. Good morning, Mr. Apollo. The problem of the country today is fatigue and boredom in all aspects. Really? The NRM is fatigued. Oh, the opposition is fatigued. All the institutions are fatigued. The people are fatigued. The business people are fatigued, and the musicians now sing foul language because of fatigue. ETC, Osbaltid Mutungo. Did you get that?
Yes.
That there is fatigue?
Bako.
On both sides. Bako.
Yes. No, but you see, generally speaking, as you continue to read the messages, generally speaking, that message can create some laughter in us and the audience. But the truth of the matter is that there is general. You see, when certain things are not going correct, and no matter the amount of advice that come from the opposition and good, well-intentioned members of society, it is not being heeded. There is a tendency of the society growing fatigued. You grow tired. You are like, let it be, whatever happens. Now, I think his meaning is that society, generally speaking, has reached a level whereby they are saying, regardless of what we say, it will. I don't think we have reached. I don't think we have reached that level. And I want to believe that the little that NRM is not getting right, there are efforts at least to fix it, although I have already admitted that there are a number of issues, 1, 2, 3 out of 10. On the scale of 1 to 10, I think about 4 out of 10 is not being done right, and it can create some fatigue.
Okay. Richard, if it is true, it is all these are signs of fatigue. Isn't that dangerous? Isn't the political future of this country oblivious in any way?
You see, there are two elements to Bako. There is the core of being fatigued. There is the core also of being angry. Tuakowa. Tuakowa does not mean that we are tired. No, it is expression
of anger
and disillusionment. Yeah. So I think Comrade Rugarama explained that when you push, I think that's what he was saying, that when you push and push and push, you can get to a point and just say, even when I push. They were going to say that Kogambro Kujwara. Yeah, that's when you keep telling your own to cover their nakedness, and they are obstinate. Then you just join the mockers and the ones who are laughing. But you see, because like
who is
you
naked
say,
and
because
who
you
is...
say, no, it was just a saying from the Kukoa, the other one of fatigue. So you see, because we own this country, we are owners of this country.
Ugandans.
Because whatever happens affects us. A lot of times indirectly, but generally directly. We cannot afford to be fatigued and let go. Despite our fatigue, we must remain with grit. We must bite our teeth and our lips. It means, even if it means biting and we bleed while biting, but we cannot afford to just let go. So those comments can give the impression that we can let go. That is why you see, however much the top group of what we call opposition may be bickering, the lower groups, when it comes to the box, they will express themselves similarly. Now, it may be true, I keep saying this, that the total number of votes may not have been changing. It might have been the geographical locations where these votes are coming from. However, it also is important to remember that at least the courts have consistently, for decades, said this pattern is like this because of the misbehavior of the group in charge. So we also must say this not changing vote is not necessarily only because of the way the population is voting. It is because of the machinery of interference with this result. So we can't pretend that it doesn't exist. And so if you have this consistent, according to the courts and public discourse, of the interference of the outcome of the vote, so what is the voter's recourse then? Where are you pushing them?
Some information, Comrade Baguma.
Yes.
To the extent that when you look at the judgment in Amama Mbabazi versus Yoweri Kaguta
2016
Museveni and the Electoral Commission, there are a number of recommendations, the directives actually that the Supreme Court made, and I think out of about how many of them, only one, when they talked about reforms, those reforms that were directed to be implemented by the Electoral Commission, I think it was only the change of name from the Uganda Electoral Commission to Uganda Independent Electoral Commission, and that is very embarrassing.
Conclude, Richard.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
The fatigue.
Yeah. So
and the resultant.
Yes, it's so it's like you then go back to Kazova's. You see, you keep pushing the country towards a certain what we call I can't go beyond this. A no beyond point. And so for us, some of us might still be around for a few decades. Then some of us may be around. Then we must be deeply concerned about where the country is being pushed.
Thank you so much, viewers. Continue sending in the comments. We still have minutes to debate and analyze these issues. Kasbat from Bulisa, thanks for the program. My issue is on the Mpuuga as DA, because it's like putting new wine in old bottles. Because what made Mpuuga live in UP was the 500 million. Do you want to believe that he doesn't move with the same character of chewing taxpayers' money in the new alliance? He says thank you so much, and we thank you to Kasbat from Brisa for the comment and your opinion.
But tell him that was also settled. Court settled that.
But there is a court of public opinion.
Yes.
The public. And like, is it Kazoba or Richard said, the perception matters.
That was
the perception matters, especially in politics. Thank you so much. Let me read another message before I bring in you, Charles. He says, the only challenge I have noticed that has always made the public hate and challenge the incumbent leadership, I would, is that they forgot that they are public servants, not public bosses. The leaders handle the public in a diplomatic way, even the enemy will become a friend. Did you get that clearly?
Not really.
Not really, but thank you so much, Nkunze. You can rephrase it and send it again. We really treasure the feedback. Kazova, let's talk about how these new formations are actually conducting business. We saw at the launch, all the members who stood were making scathing attacks at the Kamucha group. You're homosexuals, you're this and that, and I wonder what that now means if you have an alliance with an intention to confront a formidable group like NRM, which has been in government for more than 39 years, and you seem not to be ready to attract other forces to work with. I don't know what you make of that.
Actually, that has been my concern also. There is too much hate between Kamocha and the Mpuuga group.
It is now covering.
But not only Kamucha, even Katonga and Najana Nkumbi.
Yes, Katonga and Najana Nkumbi. So they kind of bring down the debate to their personalities.
These are ganja smokers.
And forget the national agenda. That's why voters become so frustrated. They have very high expectations, but they get disappointed. when you see Mpuuga attacking Bobi Wine, then the other day Katana attacking Mpuuga, I mean, it trivializes the political discourse. But then, what do we do as citizens? At no one time did God appoint these guys as our representatives. These guys only had the courage to position themselves. But as citizens, we have an obligation to determine our destiny. It is not somebody there that should determine our destiny. So, my appeal has always been that as citizens, let's get to know what we want. The situation is not very good in this country, because now there are competing interests. Yes, you can overthrow Museveni. That is very possible. Even other guys have been overthrown.
When are they doing
But
You talked about Assad.
you should also
Al-Hassan.
you should also look
The
at
Syria.
you should also factor in the issue of the stability of the state. And that is why I agree with the DA. They are taking the issue of stability of the state as very, very important. And that should be in each and every citizen's interest.
Okay.
That yes, Museveni is a bad guy. He should go. Very good. But how does the state remain? Does it get off balance? And if that is the case, what will happen? I've also had General Muntu emphasize that issue on several occasions. So citizens and political actors should take seriously the stability of the state. These other actors, I don't take some of them seriously, because in some countries, changes have happened minus the opposition. It is
Spontaneous.
yes.
civil
So change here can happen minus these characters. Citizens can rise up and things change. Situation changes. My fear has always been, in such a situation, what happens? Because we shall have now one option for the stability of the state. It is the military to take charge. And with the military taking charge, testing power, it's not automatic that you'll get that power from them very easily.
Okay.
Yes. So we must do some soul searching and do a lot of thinking.
Like what now? At this time, researchers, what can be
At
done?
times I don't really agree that President Museveni is so strong that the entire country cannot get out of his grip. No, that is not true. We are just selfish as individuals. If citizens tomorrow decide that enough is enough, President Museveni will go. But the key factor is, are you going to keep this country stable?
Thank you.
Mr. Kazoba, I just have bad news for you. The people you are talking about are actually with Museveni and NRM. They are not about to get rid of him that easily. Then the other bad news for you is that those other group who would have gotten him out of the seat are very disorganized to the extent that they still have about another good number of years for them to do the job of getting Museveni out. Should nature take Museveni as an individual out of this country, we are properly organizing, we are reorganizing ourselves as NRM and we shall remain in charge, providing political and other forms of leadership.
So Comrade Rugalama, as we wind up, you seem to imply that it is okay, it is all okay, as the new formations won't create any impact, as the people, like you admitted, that indeed there could be signs of fatigue everywhere, but it is okay.
No, what we have as a country is that the leadership, you see, is written in Darkness at Noon, that nobody rules guiltlessly. There are elements of fatigue as a consequence of a leadership dispensing administration. You have been in administration of this country for more than 38 years. Do you really expect that you have done everything correctly? I have been here to tell everybody that cares to listen that NRM has provided some quality leadership in some aspects. When you judge them against their own 15-point program, or even if you wanted to increase the number, it started from 10, you realize that a number of points have been achieved, but there are those that have not yet been achieved. Now, on the political landscape, when you look at the opposition and the growing number of opposition, of course not with standing, I am not even sure that the new formations that we are talking about, the DA, are cutting into NRM. You see, I would be worried if, for instance, the new political pressure groups are cutting into NRM. And that is why I was worried, if you remember. I was worried when PRU, thank God, because the God I consulted actually sent them into disarray. You see what happened to them. Was cutting into NRM.
Really?
Yes, that was, didn't you see, even in Guru, our own parliament, NRM members were standing up to profess that I am so and so NRM, now gravitating to I was like, hey, this is very serious. And yet there was no reprimands coming from the NRM party. So therefore, now PRU, by God's grace, and I thank God for that, I will even go to
has
church
been dismantled.
Yes, to thank God that has now been dealt a blow. I can assure you that NRM, we shall go back and put right those few areas where we have not been getting right, because we know where we have not been getting it right.
Okay.
Yes.
Eventually,
Mr. Apollo, could I add a word?
Just one.
I think, Mr. Ugarama, you are telling a lie.
No, these are my views. You can disagree with me.
What is
for you is correct.
NRM is Museveni, and Museveni is NRM.
It's an opinion.
If today Museveni abandoned NRM, if he decided, for instance, to start...
Like somebody abandoned something.
If he decided to start a new party, NRM would collapse as a pack of cards.
Don't worry. If that is our problem,
so
it is part of what we are going to fix. Kazova, don't worry. We are going to fix that one. Thank you for giving me this information. I will pass it over to the authorities and we shall fix it. It's okay.
Okay. Kazova, let me read these messages before we proceed, because we are going to wind up. Hello, dialoguers. When the strangler and his cheerers, praise singers, can't strangle those who are struggling anymore out of nature sorting them, even the generator will be forgotten. Libya, Syria, and Sudan style, sadly. We shall be refugees somewhere. An oppressed person and a fanatic are very dangerous. When a dictator tumblingly falls with a third. September 11th, 2009, sample DAS. 2009, this
2009, what happened? That was
I think it was
Kayunga race.
Yes.
No, I can see where that brother is headed.
It was
Have
November.
you finished?
No, let me finish.
Yes.
Doctor, should note that the anger in us is not dying out.
He's not the first one to be angry. I'm also angry.
Wait a minute. The other time it was Bobby supporters killing, mass arrests, and killing of Zebra. Zebra was a boxer.
Yeah, I remember the boxer.
Supporter of NUP.
Yes,
Now it's
No,
now it's
no,
okay.
Zebra
Wait a
was a
minute.
member of NRM actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Now it's the militarization. Wait a
But a
minute.
boxer.
Hear this. Now it's the militarization and the legal harassment from military police, and it's sham courts and coffee and much more atrocities that will characterize 2005 to 2006. Walter Kawanda, the message is quite long.
I can see, but we have picked
And
out
it touches key issues. Can you quickly react?
just quickly. One,
Quickly.
I started.
But he
off-
says the anger may not die out. The anger you
I started out because he pointed out the sham courts. I don't want to use the word sham. There is a constitutional court ruling as far as the General Court Martial is concerned, and there is an appeal lying in the Court of Appeal. I mean the Supreme Court. It is yet to be entertained and disposed of. So I wouldn't want to go into a lot of that because efforts have been made in that direction. Certainly, my position in as far as the court martial is concerned, trying civilian is very well known. I don't want to repeat it. So we share the same anger there. Two, nobody, and particularly me, I have never been a fanatic. I want to believe I'm a rational debater, but I am NRM. And therefore, when I come here and I have an opportunity to support the position of NRM, I will do it. And I don't have to offer any apology to anybody.
Good. Ugandans are fatigued in the mind. I have fully understood that Museveni is a revolutionary leader. The political thirst Ugandans have will be quenched after him. Mpuuga did not get out of NUP because of opposition, but he was forced out by uninformed political actors in the party. Thank you so much. This is from the status I can see Omgaga Ismail, NT. Thank you so much. Did you hear that? He says Ugandans are fatigued in mind. And he also says Mpuuga did not get out of NUP because of the position, but he was forced out by uninformed political actors. Thank you. Let me read the messages and then we conclude. We have only a few minutes to go. Good morning, Mr. Apollo. I have already said it. Democratic Alliance and the so-called PLU have no journey at all. They are just paving way for NRM. And I think these branded branches of NRM, including UPC and DP, okay, these are branded, okay? We are in IU graduation, but I am watching you.
Oh, there is IU.
Thank you. Nice weekend to all the viewers and those in studio. James in Imbale. Thank you, James in Imbale. I was in Imbale yesterday, and I'm very much aware the Prime Minister is at that event, Honorable Nabanja, Robin Nabanja, and we congratulate the graduates. Okay, let me look at...
I have a special attachment. I taught there.
Okay. It is sad to see hyenas taking care of goats. We have completely less Ugandans who love Uganda. Ntare Wycliffe Kahinda. Ntare Wycliffe.
Now what is that message?
Baguma, I'll ask you to respond if you understood that message and you give us your concluding remarks. He says it's sad to see hyenas taking care of goats. In which context do you think? Maybe he's talking about leadership, not the leaders not caring about those who are being led. It's unfortunate.
I think monkeys should worry about a fire in the forest. But a group of monkeys may actually be laughing.
As the fire
could laugh, yes,
burns.
as the fire is burning a forest. Because see, I don't know if you have seen a fire or the fire. There will be many things scattering. And also sometimes the flames are looking good and artistic up. And then in the immediate, when you are, there may be more prey. The rabbits run and you pick that and you pick that one. But I think monkeys should be concerned,
okay,
about the fire in the forest. And if there are any hyenas that are guarding goats, or are looking at what they are guarding as goats, you see, also you may have you may understand what you are guarding as goats when you are a hyena. I think that is should be another case of concern. For me, it is just that every situation has a threshold, particularly the abilities of human beings to sustain certain situations. There is always a threshold. And so what is critical is what threshold would we be going into as a country, and then what would that mean when we reach the threshold? I think for me it is the same as the forest and the fire and the monkeys. Apollo, I can tell you that we must, for us to have a chance, we must be able to have the courage, sometimes at extremely high risk, to say certain things. We must also have what one of my young upcoming journalists called pragmatism. He says, I am very pragmatic. That sometimes I say things and it is only those who take time to interpret them who will pick what we are saying. But certainly, I can say without fear of contradiction that there is underlying palpable anger in the population. Disillusionment, disappointment. We can pretend.
We have not reached the threshold.
No, we haven't. This country, the people in this country have been subjected to so much that they have a very, very elastic threshold. So they can get pushed in many, many directions. But there is always a point where we reach a threshold. So when
I've seen politicians, sorry to interrupt you,
no problem.
Just as you wind up, I've seen politicians relate what has happened in Syria to what may possibly happen anywhere else.
Yeah, but you see, I'm an eternal optimist. Even long-serving families have moved in some geographical jurisdictions, and there has not been as much turmoil as there has been in Syria. Yeah, so for me, my optimism is that when familial rule changes in Uganda, we hopefully will not have the Syria situation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Richard. And Charles, just in 1 minute, let's conclude. What do you project in future looking at the circumstances?
The fact is that Museveni will go at some point. What we should focus on as citizens is after he goes, how will the country be? So it means we must be organized enough to hold the country together.
Are you doing that?
We have to.
Are you doing that?
It is every citizen's obligation to do it. That is why we should be able to talk as citizens. Insulting each other will not help us. Let us talk.
Dialogue.
So that there is consensus that after President Museveni has left, what happens?
Thank you.
Yes.
Comrade Rugalama, just a minute.
Yeah, sure. One, comparing the situation of Uganda with that one of Syria may not be quite obtaining. But anyhow, it is a comparison. Like we have compared with Libya, we have compared with Sudan, Upper Khartoum. But the truth of the matter is that there are internal reorganizations within NRM to make sure that we take care if any of us leaves and he is an influential position, and that includes our chairman and the president of this country. So don't worry, Mr. Kazova, with your people, we shall be okay and the country will be fine.
Thank you.
Two, and finally, is that we are keenly watching. We are not saying that NRM is righteous. We have got our own problems, and we are consciously and prayerfully working around the clock to ensure that this country, as long as NRM provides political leadership, is well taken care of.
Thank you so much, Comrade Rugarama, Chairman of the Pan-African Movement. Thank you so much, Charles Kazoba, veteran journalist, but also a researcher. Thank you so much, Richard Baguma. Very profoundly honored to always have you on this show. Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for that feedback. The production team, people who have been behind the cameras in the control room, thank you so much. But I can only, actually, is wishing Christmas or Happy New Year early?
Yeah, 15th,
it's in order.
we are okay.
Okay.
No, but
we
I
can
don't
wish
think,
them
I don't
Happy
think
Christmas.
wishing people good things is early. So we wish you good things, Christmas inclusive.
Charles,
Yes.
wishing them Christmas.
Yeah, of course, I wish each and every Ugandan and those in Uganda a Merry Christmas and a
Happy
great
2026.
2025. 2025 will be an election year.
So, yes.
Just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, comrades, all of you there, out there, the Pan-African movement and myself, we wish you the very best of 2025 and Merry Christmas to you.
From me, I wish you a Merry Christmas and happy. But on 31st, we'll be at Canaan Land in Makele Chikoni. We spend there the whole night in what we call Vision Night. Everyone is invited. Good afternoon. God bless you. God bless Uganda.